I am going to start the.
I have a quick question though. Are you in Rich Kim's office, or do you know Rich Kim? Jessica?
I do not.
No.
Oh,
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Irene Kushansky. I am with Keller Williams Portfolio Realty in Toronto. We have quite an illustrious group of guests today from all around Toronto, and our main guest, our host, is Jessica Starr from Connecticut. And Jessica is a powerhouse. She's an amazing person. She always comes from contribution. She's got a really, really great high producing team. But those of you that don't have teams on the session, don't worry. Her content will be geared to all levels of realtors. And, with that, I'm going to leave the floor to you, Jess, and maybe do a little intro and take it from there.
So I always like teaching based on what the client or the consumer or the agents need and what they need to hear most. And what I heard you guys needed was possibly some stuff on mindset and best practices going into an evolving instead of shifting market. But let's think about it. Our markets are always evolving. Like there's nothing new about this, right? So we always have to change what we're doing depending upon time of year. And I would assume Canada is similar to us. You might get a little bit of snow. So
Just a little bit. Just
a little bit. So I can't even complain because I'm talking to Canadians. So I know it's even more. So just to give you a little background, my name is Jessica Starr. I am in Connecticut. We cover a majority of the state of Connecticut and also parts of lower Massachusetts and Rhode Island now too, which is great because it's about the size of a minute. Our team last year did 61 million and 200 units. Yeah, I did 85 of those units. So, also I have no intention to do that this year. So my team is taking over and I have the right people in the right seats on the bus to take that business out of my hands, which is what I was looking forward to. And so I can be present with my family, obviously teach and do a bunch of other things that we had in the pipeline. So one thing for you to know too, we are almost a dead even split on admin and agents on our team. So we're not a 30 member, 50 member team. We are now, as of today, because we're hiring 3 new people, but we were 10 members, 5 admin, 5 agents. So 200 units with 5 agents. That's what we did.
Wow.
That's pretty good. And one of them was part-time. So ideally we want people making money and being happy. And so if we can make them happy at home, which a lot of that goes back to mindset, time blocking, and also having a culture of accountability in terms of, prospecting and a culture of caring. So when we want people to have time off, they're actually unplugged. They're not still checking their phone and scheduling stuff. The team covers carte blanche. So that's how we operate. So I want to get some feedback from you guys first as to where your heads are at, what you are feeling about this market, where you'd like some help and some guidance, because I know some stuff, so I can probably give you guys some tips and tricks that will really help you maximize what we're gonna go into. First of all, for that big conference room, how many of you guys have been in the business more than 5 years? Raise your hand.
me.
One. I got 2. Kara, Irene. All right. So more than 5 years, we have a very limited number here, right? A lot of these people have been in the business. So guys, this is the market where you actually get to negotiate, not give away your kidneys to get houses for your people. You're going to have to actually negotiate and say, hey, we're going to get this much off for you on a new furnace. We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and maybe get money off on the list price. It's actually an exciting time to be in. So instead of just giving the benefits and features of your client and hoping that somebody accepts them, right? And because they're paying X amount over list price, now you can try to save your client some money when you represent those buyers, right? And you can renegotiate. So how many of you are scared about that negotiation process? Nobody? You're all excited.
It's like define negotiating.
Sure, that wasn't the question.
Yeah, what do you mean negotiating, and also scared's a big word.
There is a very big word, but here's the thing. So I remember at one point I had a new agent on my team, and is it all right if I tell you guys some stories too that go along with it? I feel like it
Great.
makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a new agent on my team. We penned it on a house they were buying. I had put their listing under contract already. And it came up that it needed lolly columns, a furnace, a new septic system, new roof. Literally at one point, the new agent said to me, "Well, don't you think we've asked the seller for enough?" And I said, "Well, the seller's going to let us know when we've asked them for enough." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, these are all things that are, issues in a home that are going to have to happen immediately because they failed, right? So it might feel like a lot to ask for parts of a new septic system, a new roof and a furnace and other things that were in there. Yet if the seller didn't want to play, do you think they'd still be having that conversation with us?" And she said, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." And I said, "Look, Go for No. It's a book. It's a really, really small book, really easy read. Get the book, Go for No. And it talks about getting 20 no's to get a yes. And so when I was negotiating on this, I had the agent say to me, "Jess, nobody must have ever told you no because you just keep going." And I said, "That's the problem. That's all I got told no. So it doesn't affect me." So think about that mindset shift though. When I know some people will say, "Well, when's enough enough?" I think this is fine. I think this is what we can do. But when you take on your clients or you take members on a team and you're negotiating with agents, you need to really focus, number one, on, okay, let me get to know that agent. Let me find out how they typically negotiate. Get inside the head of the agent a little bit to know how they do stuff. Look at their old listings, right? Do they usually sell X amount over list? Like the Star team sells 112% over list to sales price. That's our average. The town average is 102. So if you know that and you look at the behavior of what's been happening with their listings, well, it's going to shift with this market too, right? So do they still sell that high over list, or maybe they sell at list and everybody else is 6% below? Awesome. So that might mean that they price their properties right. So
Jess, yeah, something that, maybe some of the people on the Zoom may not even know what you're talking about, because renegotiating with sellers is not that big of a portion of even our heated business.
Crazy.
However, now there is more opportunity for that, but
Yeah.
just as a concept, it plays a smaller part in how we do our deals than typically you guys do. So
Yeah.
in case, some of you are sort of glazing over going like,
They might
"What
be
is this?"
panicked.
Right? There is the opportunity to do that for us in our conditional period sometimes.
So, and it's totally a different perspective. I know you guys do stuff differently, obviously, in Canada than we do here. But one of the things, and the reason I'm telling you these stories, is no matter what, in your negotiations, in your day-to-day habits, when you wake up in the morning, how are you winning your morning to win your day? What is your mindset, right? How do you win your morning to win your day? Anybody? Who's winning their day right now?
Anybody? Okay, I'll share since everybody's
Yeah.
so quiet. We are Canadians. I started getting up at 4:45 instead of 5 because I was never making time for my reading and my writing. So now I get up at 4:45 most days. Some days I get up at 4:30, but I do that. I do my reading and my writing and then my workouts before my day starts. And that puts me in the right headspace, even if I'm grumpy when I wake up.
And you get your mindset right from getting all that activity done and out there, and your focus time on you. I think, and some people can't wake up that early, right? Maybe they win their day at 9 a.m. That could be what they do too. And that's all right, because they might be able to stay up till 1 o'clock. I can't. But, figure out the time that works best with your system, right? With you. And number one, you need to win your morning, win your day. So like Irene says, I do the same thing. I keep a journal. And in the journal, I just simply write 5 gratitude statements and 5 affirmations every single day. Then I might journal about my 3 wins for the day at the end of the night before I go to bed, right? Guys, some days your wins are going to be very small, or you might say, I have no wins. Well, there's always a win to be found, is what I'm here to tell you. So when I say that, I mean, okay, you guys have all been through horrible stuff at some point in your life. I'm sure you might have lost somebody. You might have had a relationship thing. It might have been, a divorce. You never know, right? Yet on that day, there was something you could have found to be grateful for. On the day my dad died, it was the most beautiful blue sky that there was in September, right? Worst day ever, best sky I've ever seen. So how are you choosing to show up? How are you choosing to show gratitude? How are you choosing to find your win in the day? That's number one, because your energy will affect everybody you come in contact with.
I like that.
So energy is everything, right? You can probably tell, even on Zoom, I have a lot of energy, right? It depends on how you show up. Think about it too. If you're doing consultations with people, you're doing them on Zoom or Meets or digitally, or you're doing them in person, are you showing up and you are not presenting yourself well? Like, listen, you could have pajama pants on the bottom. You guys don't know what's on the bottom right now, right? But how are you showing up? Are you putting yourself together? Do you have the light facing you? Are you sitting in front and ready? Because no matter what, they will feel your energy. So think about the pandemic, and we had to go and present listing appointments. I don't know about you guys, but I know I did. Fully masked. And I had to go, trust me. I hope you think I have kind eyes, right? Feels weird. Yet that's what we had to do. So how did you get people to trust you in the pandemic? Well, they had to know you were, number one, the captain of their ship, right? How are you showing up to be the captain of somebody's ship? Two, how are you showing them that you are going to guide them and take care of them and lead them to safe waters? These are questions you should ask yourself every single day. And three, how do they know that you are the most knowledgeable person? Are you giving them a sense of comfort, right? Are you giving them a sense that you know what you're talking about? Or are you just sitting there presenting the presentation to them and letting them pick their listing price? That's what so many agents do because it's easier and at least they got the listing signed, right? And hopefully they get some buyer calls off that listing, or maybe they can do an open house and it shows some market share to that community, but they're not thinking of the bigger picture. By the way, guys, did anybody notice what I did with my hands when I told you the 1, 2, 3?
Anybody?
Number one, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What is it?
Hand signal, guys?
Thumbs up.
The visual. Oh, thumbs up.
Number two,
Victory.
I'm telling them peace, everything is going to be okay. Number three, you are okay.
Oh, I like that.
1, 2, 3. I didn't go 1, 2, 3, right? There's a reason. It's called neuro-linguistic programming. 1, thumbs up. We're all good. 2, there'll be peace. 3, you'll be okay. So you're subconsciously telling them how you're going to take care of them, right? And it's a mirror and match thing. So if you're in a presentation and everybody is sitting back quiet and not listening to you, imagine what kind of engaging speaker I might be if I did that. But the reason I'm telling you is your energy is everything. So the way you give it to your clients, they will receive it the same way. Understand, if I have a client that is very detail oriented, likes the systems, is an engineer, I will purposely sit back. I will purposely cross my arms and mirror and match what they do with their own body. Make sense? These are all things that you might not have had to think about when the market is super hot, right? And everybody's buying a house. But right now, these are things that you should start remembering if you've already heard them before, because you're going to need them, right? So a really, one of the things that tends to set us apart is we take a consultative approach in everything that we do. So our mindset and our energy is number one. We try to win our morning, and we do the savers, which Irene basically described for you. And that's getting up, gratitude and affirmations. That's meditating and prayer, working out, also making sure you're having your water for the day. That's really a big deal because too many of us agents don't treat our bodies right. Maybe I just speak from experience and I'm the only one. Canada
No,
might be
you're
way
not.
better.
You're not.
But that's a really big deal. Also, are you practicing your conversations, AKA your scripts? Or are you practicing them on the clients?
I have a confession to make.
Yes, you in the front.
I have, yeah, me in the front. Yeah, pick me, pick me. So I have a listing appointment tomorrow for somebody or with somebody who has called us in our farm who I don't actually know. So usually I meet them, we nurture them, I get to know them. It's weeks, it's months, it's years sometimes. So by the time I show up, I know who they are. I have a lot of background on them. And tomorrow it's first time, it's less than a week that he called initially. I'm actually getting on with a script partner this afternoon to role play my listing presentation, because I cannot tell you the last time I've actually gone in cold and didn't know anybody. And I'm sitting there going, what do I say again?
That is a great point, and I'm glad you're owning that.
I'm practicing with a colleague instead of practicing on them, and they're interviewing 5 agents. So yeah, I want to bring my A game.
Yeah. I heard was somebody else trying to say something? I, for some reason, thought I heard somebody pop in.
Anybody? Guys, this is participatory. What you put in, you're going to get out. So we're making this interactive.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say or ask or jump in, please do that.
Yes, and I love seeing, you know what, I get energy from seeing your faces. My team is not allowed to have only their names up, just so you're clear. And part of that is because it takes a lot to prep for these kinds of things, right? And you want to give the energy out and you want to receive that energy. But if you're talking to a blank screen, well, I might as well just go do a podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly. So any of you that do have the ability to turn your cameras on, please do. Even if your hair isn't perfect, we'd love to see your faces.
Yeah, I am far from perfect all the time, just so you know. So anyways, Irene, that's a great point on the practicing of your listing presentation. So I'm going to ask you guys too, how many of you guys, you can just raise your hands if you want, do a full buyer consultation too. Do you guys do that in Canada?
We do. Well, we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Who else? Carolyn's nodding. Yeah. Anybody else? I see Simon raising his hand back there in the room. Anybody else? You can raise your digital hand if you want.
Yeah, there you go. So a few of you guys,
we encourage it. We encourage it highly.
Well, here's the thing. James Shaw was great. Came and spoke. Yeah, you got a digital thumb. Got it.
Yay.
Good job, Leslie. So how many of you guys, when you do this buyer consult, do you have that buyer representation? I would assume you have something similar to that.
We
or
do. Yes.
You guide them through the process on,
Yes.
hey, here's where we start. Here's where you finish. Here's the
Yep.
cost you're going to incur. Here's the thing. James Shaw came and spoke with our team. And literally he goes, how many of you guys are doing a buyer consult? By the way, as a team standard, we all do them. So it was a good one to pick for us. But he said, you know, if you don't do it, it's malpractice. And think about that. Not doing a buyer consultation, not doing the needs analysis, that's what we call it, is malpractice. Yes, any monkey can open the door, right? We all have the keys. We all can open the door. Great, here's a house. Do you stand behind them and not say anything? Well, have you been shown how to show a house? Has anybody taken the time to teach you how to show a house? When I open the door, I'm going to say, wow, guys, look at this great sun-filled colonial. We've got great dentured crown molding up top. Do you notice a cherry inlay in the floor? There's extra space here for the closets that you don't usually have, and point out the great features to them. Or do you just open the door, let them walk through? Did you like it? Well, they're hiring a consultant, right? Jess, that's a great point. I didn't realize. And you said it was gas, heat, and central air. Yep, that's exactly what we're looking for. So think about how you are presenting yourself. And this is all kind of about presentation. So from the initial buyer consult to, you know, the final meeting, when we're in that initial consult, before we even get there, for buyers or for sellers, we send a pre-marketing packet. That's digital. And if they can't get it, we'll drop it off or we'll mail it to them. So we used to drop it off, but now, you know, we got everything digital. So it's great. That shows you how long I've done this, 19 years. So
we still have them in hard copy too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
we'll
fact,
send
I
them.
see KW training room is waving their hands. Who's in the
Yay,
back?
yay, Simon.
You do
Simon
it
will
too,
teach this
Simon?
class next time. We do, like you, we do a combination of sometimes digital, sometimes we will drop it off, and then and we'll bring a paper copy with us as well.
Yes.
Because some people like, no, I didn't. I saw your email. I didn't read it.
Right.
Simon would like to contribute.
Yes, that's what I thought.
I'll contribute from the room. When I first started, I'm almost 5 years now. When I first started doing real estate at all when I was doing a part-time even. First thing that I was guided on was to do a buyer consultation package. And I was given a ton of them to kind of build my own. And I guess because first things first, you're gonna probably have a buyer first. Percentage wise, you're probably gonna have a buyer as your first client. Anyways, I was pre-pandemic, I was taking them into the office all the time. All my buyers, before we'd start doing anything, I would set them up on a search, fine, but we have to meet. Before we go anywhere, we have to meet. And that was just me being comfortable with the fact that they know everything. And then we have something set, and all the paperwork, IDs, everything was done at the FinTrack, everything was done at those meetings. And of course, getting to know them and then realizing, you know, maybe this isn't what you were looking for, what you initially told me. And then being able to go out with a strong base is what I learned from my first buyer consult. And ever since then, I've been doing them, even on Zoom. First thing I do is send in my package, and then we have a Zoom meeting and before we go anywhere with each other. I find that doing them on Zoom is not the same, and the results have been varied. So I want to get back into doing them in person now again. Before we
Simon,
go.
I'm going to challenge you that perhaps your scripts need to be mastered better.
Yeah, I 100%. You have to challenge me on that. I know it.
So and the only reason I say that is because I had that limiting belief too. But remember, I told you my dad passed away. When he was sick, he was flown to the Cleveland Clinic from Connecticut. And my team fired me in a sense because I wasn't making sense, you know, big life changes and stuff happening. And pretty upsetting. I wasn't making sense in email and text and all sorts of stuff. And they're like, Jess, you need to just go and be with your family. We'll take care of it. And I said, well, that's great. But we had like 4 agents selling at the time, me being one of them. And I said, I was a top producer and I generated the most leads. So in 2014 is when I started doing digital buyer and listing consultations. And I got out of it when I wasn't standing in the hospital room for my dad, which I should have just stuck to, but it prepared me for 2020. So why I say this is I had the concept that I had to be at every single listing appointment. I had to be at every single buyer consult in person, right? And then it came to the point that, well, out of need, I had to do it digitally or virtually. And guess what? I still got a boatload of things signed, standing in the bathroom of the hospital where my dad was. It's crazy to think about it that way, but I could say, especially if it was an expired listing in my town, I likely already knew the house. So it was easy to see the pictures. And I'd say I'd have a representative from my team come over and just shoot any additional footage we may need in case we need to adjust the price after this. How does that sound?
I do want to just touch on something that Simon said that I think is really, really important. And it's too bad Sam just jumped off. She's on our team. And this is something that this is a story. So Simon was talking about making sure you understand clients' needs. So
Yes.
we do have one client actually referred to us from New Jersey, Jess, and we did our, Simon, we do all of our buyer consults on Zoom now as well. So if you need some help, happy to help you. So we had a very, very thorough buyer consultation with these folks. They had had a bad experience with their previous realtor in the fall. This was sort of spring, summer that we were doing this. And our buyer consults are really, really thorough. And on top of that, we wanted to make sure that we didn't repeat any of the same mistakes that this client went through the first time around.
Yes.
And sure enough, what happens after we do this, she starts pinging around all over the place with what she wants, which is completely different than what we had discussed. And on top of that, she wants to see everything. And Sam and I had to sort of bring her back and say, okay, the reason we had this meeting was to agree on X. And the reason you hired us is not to be a door opener. You had a bad experience already. Let us save you the time because here Sam's just jumping on. Sam, I'm just using you and Roya's experience as an example. And you don't want to be a door opener because that's not your value, right? So what's the point of running around with a client who you've gone through that process with and they just want you to open a door? And we had to say to her, you did not hire us for this. We're not door openers, we're consultants. And we went through a really long process with you to understand what it is that you want so that we would save you time. And you can, you know, if the client starts going off the rails, you can bring them back to that.
You also should be willing to talk to them about you being the consultant, like Irene said, but when you're the consultant, that also gives you the right, in a sense, to veto things that they may throw out there. Hey, we want to go see these. No problem, guys. Have you taken a drive-by or done a Google Earth of that property yet? This has none of the items you've had on your list from our buyer consultation and needs analysis. So tell me why this seems to be a fit for you. Right? Be willing to say that to them too, because also in this market, people will say, well, there's not enough inventory still, even though the market's shifting. And I just want to go out and see it because maybe, right? Well, that's great. But you know what? Here's the thing. I have all the time in the world for you, but I don't have time for a maybe. What I do have time for, and give them examples. Also, how many of you guys are just waiting for stuff to pop up in the MLS? Like there's no listings. Are you waiting? Anybody waiting? Nobody? I can't
Some
believe
people are waiting.
Right. So,
I'm waiting.
right. So here's the thing. How do you not wait? Well, my team is going out door knocking today, right? They're hanging flyers. You might not be able to do that in Canada. So I'm sorry if there's things I say. that
No,
you can't.
we can't do expires, but we absolutely can door knock, and we're big door knockers on our team.
Right. So going door knocking, right? You could do targeted boosted Facebook ads, which sounds like a little crazy. You could be looking up, and let's say you had a client that, was the average price point for the town of Simsbury, Connecticut, like I live in. What I might do is look up, hey, who are the top agents that sell the most in this specific price bracket, not just the town. And I might do the town, but I also would do the price bracket specifically, and then go, hey, maybe my prospecting doesn't need to be to random people. Hey, do you have a listing for me? Maybe it needs to be to people like Jess Starr, who has the listings, and calling them and saying, hey, what are you currently working on that might be a fit for this buyer? Here's who I have. How many of you are calling the other agents and prospecting? Right? A lot of us forget that, but these are the things we need to remember in this upcoming market. And one of my things when we would call expired listings would be, hey, Mr. Seller, quite frankly, we have to sell your house multiple times. And your agent didn't do the job of selling your home to me. Can I explain? Like, yes, they put it in the MLS. Yes, we can get an email notification that there's a new listing. But they didn't go out of their way to tell me the details, to call me. We are the top producing team in town and in your price bracket. So why would they not have done that? Because too many people put a sign in your yard, they place it in the MLS, and they pray for somebody else to bring a buyer. We prospect on a daily basis, and we price right and price at watch. So what are you?
100% Diana Karkoska
Yep.
from Bold. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can show them your marketing plan. By the way, did you notice in that pre-marketing packet, did you check out any of our videos with our coming soon properties? See, people started doing some of them during the pandemic, but we've been doing them since 2011. So go ahead and check on YouTube. Feel free to check on any of the local area groups. Type in my name. You'll likely see some of our coming soon videos coming up. Right? So how confident are you in your delivery of the message?
And you know what, Jess, you'll probably remember from Mega Camp, Sarah Maslowski, who put the U in YouTube. One of her suggestions to posting any sort of videos is record them and don't watch them again. Just post them.
Guys, you know what? Too many people go like, oh, I don't look good. It's not the right angle. I'm like, look, I have chipmunk cheeks. Like I get it. And yet there was one time, because my phone was full, because I always take too many videos and photos. I went to a house to do a coming soon video, right? And because it was full, I couldn't do it, but I could do a Facebook Live. So I decided to stand outside with my phone, just like this, right? It wasn't fancy. You don't have to be fancy. Lead with revenue first. Just do the activities consistently. That's number one. I stood outside and I'm like, hey guys, it's Jess Starr here with the Starr team at Keller Williams Realty, standing outside our property at 40 Mountain Road. All of a sudden, this is Facebook Live. You hear, and a fire truck starts blowing past, right? So how quick are you? So literally I'm like at 40 Mountain Road, and this property, you hear that? This property's so hot, it's gonna go fast. You better get down here. Like, how can you be creative in the moment? And people want to fall in love with you. Like you don't know it, but they don't need to know that just I have this many sales. Like if you'll notice, we'll put the total number of families we've served, and in a very little font, we might say 10 million sold. Because that's not the point. We served 22 families, right? And it's not my ego. It's what was the situation with this family? What story am I telling on Facebook or on my social media? Hey, we got to transition these guys and move their dad into assisted living by using our amazing contractors. Tag your contractors because you're going to show up on their page, right? Tag the client. Thank you so much for the opportunity to help you transition into your next phase of life. We look forward to being your lifetime realtors. How are you thinking differently, right? How are you presenting yourself?
I think that's a good segue, because one of the things that we touched on with you, Jess, is scheduling and time blocking it, and being faithful to your schedule. And the other thing, a lot of the folks that are on this session are not on the Pivot Shift calls, and I think it would be really good to touch on moving into the skills-based market where you do have to focus on the lead gen and the sales before the service. The service is important, but when there's less business to be had, we have to focus on the sales first. So can you speak to all those 17 things that I just mentioned, please?
So Irene is right.
Sorry.
Focus on generating the sale first, because if you don't have the sale, you literally have nothing to do, right? However, if you treat that sale better than anything else and focus on that service, then that's where most agents miss. How many of you are transactional?
Not a lot. I think we're all we're the opposite. We're sort of more service-based.
Fine, but being service-based and relationship-based is what builds additional people. So this is my point. When I talked to my coach last week, we talked about looking at other systems to generate more leads and do all that stuff. And he goes, Jess, let me just ask you a question. I said, sure. He goes, well, how many people are in your database? And I was like, like 12,000. Oh. And that doesn't mean I talk to 12,000 people all the time. I am not good at that. I want you to know that. But there are 12,000 in the database. So think I have some opportunity in there. So he said, okay. And he said, so how many client events do you do a year? I said, well, we do about four team events, for our past clients. And we do at least 4 community events, maybe some more. And he said, great. And so if we just took a very minimum average of about 100 people per event, which is pretty doable for us. And by the way, micro events actually give you even bigger results, just so you know. But let's say we took 100 people on average and we figured out how many pieces of business we could get from them. So if every single person gave us just one name, that'd be 800 additional names for the database, right? And once you work out your numbers, it basically equals 133 pieces of new business by not going to anyone else other than the people we already know, love, and care about. 133 pieces of additional business that we are not doing because we are not as intentional as we need to be. Now, we're pretty darn good. We ask for our reviews, we ask for referrals all the time, but we can get even better. So that was really eye-opening to me. Sajik Patel is my coach. And it wasn't something I had thought about, because I'm like, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I need to go like invest in Zillow. We don't, but we beat Zillow because of the reviews we get. And that means we rank at the top of the leaderboard. Put in Simsbury, Connecticut. We'll be there for listings, sales, and everything else, right? Because of how many reviews we've gotten. And any zip code in our town will do the same. So you need to focus on finding the leads. Number one, you're a hunter now. The last couple of years, you've been a gatherer, right? You've been gathering people. Am I wrong? Gathering them. Hey, they want to work with me. I'm so great. They want to work with me. Can you believe it? They just called right in and we're going to get this house. And now you need to be the hunter. You need to be the hunter to find new business, new clients for buyers and sellers. You need to be the hunter to prospect to additional agents. And what do I mean by that? We put a listing on and expect it to sell in a few days, right? That's what the market has been, or less. Now your job is to call people like me. Hey, I just listed this phenomenal property. I know you guys have a large portion of the buyer pool in town. Wanted to make sure you knew about it, right? So that when your listing expires, I don't get called to come over there and then say, hey, Irene didn't sell it to me. Obviously the Diana way, but you know what I mean? You don't want that. Don't be that agent, right? And by the way, you need to tell your clients what you're doing, how you're doing it, and when you're doing it, and repeat it. So they know, oh my gosh, they're working really hard for me. Guys, today, just wanted you to know, we set up 5 different market reports that'll get out to you every single day over the course of the week. So you'll have 1 report each day to see how activity is going, right? People probably forgot to do that, but that was something that we did in the past too. And
Yeah, and we had to reinvigorate, I can't remember, resurrect. We had to resurrect our market service reports because we had to use them for so long. And it's not just the report itself, it's knowing that we are going to have potentially an extended time on market, and having that maintenance and the client emotion and that kind of stuff that we either forgot or some agents haven't actually experienced. So
Well,
it
here's
is.
the thing. When you talk to them, you need to say, Irene, is it all right with you if we build a custom marketing plan geared towards your home? In that plan, it'll tell you when we communicate with you. So you can expect a call from us weekly. We'll touch base does Wednesday work for you at noon? Great. Then what do? You put that in your calendar. You time block that in your calendar. Touch base with all sellers Wednesday at noon, right? Or whatever day you pick, but it's time blocked in your calendar. So they know what to expect, when to expect you, and be honest with your word. If you say, I'm going to call you at 5, call at 5. Otherwise, give them, I'll call you between 5 and 6. And if you say, I'll call you this evening, your evening might be 10 o'clock. Their evening might be 4. You need to find out. So coming up with those marketing plans geared towards your clients again is huge. Some of us never stopped. That's the one good thing. I'm very proud of our team. We didn't stop doing this stuff in the pandemic. We didn't stop staging houses in the pandemic, but that's also why our team got 112% list to sales price. So it makes a big difference. So are you taking the time to stage or to get the people in your world, right, that can do the staging for you? Those are things to think about. And this is our menu of services. This is our book that we provide for you. If there's any part about this that you don't want an open house, you don't want a sign, you don't want your own website or drone photography, let me know which part you're comfortable with.
I checked twice.
Yeah, good.
I missed that. What was that?
Oh, good.
Internal.
Keep going.
Well, I hope it was good.
Yeah, totally.
Is any of this helpful for you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just trying to get that new perspective again, the new old perspective. Like, hey, what did we used to do that works? I remember having people on my team, some of them are newer. So when Jen, who's been with me for like 6 or 7 years, and I would go, yeah, when we would call expireds or for sale by owners, and they'd talk to us and be like, oh, back on the Titanic in my day, when we used to, I'm like, you jerks. So, but these are things that you're like, yeah, but it worked for the kids.
So Jess, I think, we definitely want to open it up to Q&A, but there were quite a few people that mentioned that sticking with their schedule has been a challenge, being loyal to your own schedule. It's not the creation of it, it's making sure that you follow it. So what advice would you have on that?
I'm going to actually give you a question first. Why don't you write this one down? When did you decide to say no to your dreams?
What did she say?
When did you decide? Through the heart.
Let me know when you decided to say no to your dreams. I want you to actually journal on that and think about that. Because you not honoring your schedule is you not making your family and your personal dreams come true. And you chose that, right? It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to take the calls. Have you guys noticed me being on calls with anybody while I'm on this with you? It's because I made a commitment to be here. So when I'm with a friend, when I'm with a client, I tell them, guys, look, I have a pretty busy calendar. These are my hours of operation. Between 4 and 8, I'm mom. I start working anywhere from 6 to 7 in the morning because I want to. By the way, if we're negotiating, you're not going to stop hearing from me, but I'll call you after 8 because my family needs me. And I'm sure you can appreciate that with your family right here too, right? I don't work Saturday and Sunday, but I have team members that can cover should we need it. And we'll present all offers on Monday. So how did I control my calendar? Number one, I let them know from the initial buyer consult and the initial listing appointment what I was going to do, right? told them what I was going to do, said it, showed them. We're going to negotiate on Monday. So in the MLS, if we're going into multiple offers, we will immediately put in there all offers to be presented on Monday afternoon. Give us your highest and best. So guess what I'm not doing then? All weekend long on the phone, negotiating offers, putting the spreadsheet together, all that kind of stuff. Because on some of them, it's still happening, right? So we're balancing this very weird market where sometimes we're still in multiples and sometimes we don't, and we're going to have to show them our marketing plan and actually do it. So the actually do it is a big part. So how you win your morning is how you win your day. What we said to start off, figure out what time your body is most comfortable waking up. Now it's real easy to say, hey, get up first thing in the morning. Like I was hating life when I was waking up at like in the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh,
5:30 I could do, that's fine. 6 is actually what I prefer, to be perfectly blunt. I'd rather be up at 6. I'm a happier person. I'd rather be in bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock because I'm a nerd. So
Right?
I like to sleep. I really love to sleep. So anyways, so figure out what your circadian rhythm is. Where do you benefit most? I have team members who like don't want to talk to me at 8 o'clock between 8 and 9. They're just not up and awake yet. But they would talk to me until 12 o'clock at night if I let them, because that's when they are, you know, they're night people. So there's no wrong answer. You do you, but figure out where you're most comfortable waking up. And just understand, you need to also set the expectations with every client you meet and every team member you have. These are my hours of operation, right? If it's an emergency, likely you'll need the fire department first. And then if nothing burns, I'm here. But that being said, get that exercise on there, get your mindset right, and then say, okay, this is when I start working. If you're still working from home, I'm working from home, right? If you're still working from home, did you do your makeup? Did you put on a nice shirt? Do you kind of look like a hot mess express? Some days I do, right? I'm not perfect yet. What was the example that you set for yourself? Because, you know, the best thing for me was I had 4 kids homeschooling next to me in this office. It's an old living room that's now my office. They listened to me teach like this. They listened to me have every buyer and listing consult throughout the entire pandemic. One of the best things ever was when my 10-year-old daughter came up to me and said, Mom, what's really great is your growth mindset. I never talked to her about that.
Wow, that's
Her
great.
teacher did. And when the teacher had those conversations with them, she said, that's my mom.
Oh.
What kind of example are you leading for the people around you? So are you showing them when you get up, you make your bed first thing? Right? These are the stupid little tricks that, like, when you do it, you've accomplished something. That's why in the military, they make everybody make their bed and make it well. Right? Because they won their day by making their bed. If everything else turns to crap, your bed was made. And who doesn't like jumping in a nice bed, right? I mean, I told you how much I like sleep. So, but think about those things. So then, okay, well, Keller Williams wants us to prospect 3 hours a day, right? And set, you know, talk to 20 people, set 1 appointment. I mean, don't tell them I said this, but this is what I will say. And I've said this on the call, the pivot call, multiple times. I tell my team members, as much as I would love you to prospect 3 hours a day, I also like to live in reality. So I know that that likely may not happen. What I do care about is the number of appointments you set. If you choose to set that appointment in 5 minutes, you've won your day. If you choose to take in 5 hours to set your appointment, well, maybe you'll learn to better your scripts next time, right? So if I go away, doesn't mean I'm not working unless I've specifically said I'm out, but my goal is 1 a day and I can play. So as long as I set 1 appointment a day for a team member or myself, I can go play and do what I want. Do you think I'm going to take 10 hours to set that appointment? Right. Or do you think I'm going to find the motivated, find the driven people, find the people that have something, a big life change? Hey, I noticed you just had a baby. So time for a new crib, right? So like, think about what you're doing, watch Facebook, watch what people are doing, and make your care calls still. People need to know you care. Like, hey, I'm not calling for business. I'm just calling to check in. Wanted to wish you well on the new baby. I saw your dad was sick. How's he doing? You know, Jess, it's so nice. You always care. My clients will never say I don't care about them. What will your clients say about you? That's another question you should ask yourself.
Really good question.
So I also put in my calendar when, this is what I've always done. I'm trying to pare down now, full disclosure. So the team takes it. However, I would put up to 12 spots. Doesn't mean I'm going to fill them all, just so nobody gets overwhelmed, but I put up to 12 spots for a buyer consult, a new agent meet, or a listing appointment every week. 12 available spots in my calendar, time blocked out. I'm visual. I'm a big I, if you can't tell, and I'm a D. So I need color, and I would color code it. So if it was blue, it was available. If it turned green, the appointment was set, right? So I could literally just look at my calendar real quick and go, okay, Leslie, yep, you want to get together this week? That's great. Looks like I have Wednesday at 12 p.m. or would Thursday at 4 be better for you? What did I do when I did that with her? I didn't say, well, what works for you? Let me see if I can fit you in. Oh, I have my daughter's dance class here and I have my son's baseball. Like, also, nobody cares. So, I mean, you care about their appointments, but the person, I care about me. I want you to care about me. That's what the client's thinking, right? So if you're telling me everything you're doing, do you give a crap about them? No. So Leslie, I have 12 or 4, which would be better for you. Here's the 2 days. Would a day or evening be better for you? Here's the 2 times. Just look at my color-coded calendar and it's right there, right? Oh, you want to do this time? I'm so sorry, I'm unavailable, but I do have this available. Would that be better? Think about when you go to a doctor's office, right? By the way, how easy did any of that roll off my tongue?
Perfect conversation.
Right? Do you think I've said that a few times? So that's how you control your calendar. By the way, you should have date night with your significant other in there. That is crucial. That should be above all else. I think that's the first thing everyone should put in. Water your grass at home more than you look at anything else. That's really a big deal. And when you're happy at home, you're going to be happy everywhere else. So date night every Sunday night at 4 o'clock shows up for John Starr and I, right? And if we don't have it, guess who reminds us? Our kids.
Kids.
Because
Good
that's
for them.
important to them. Think about what legacy you're leaving too. And I think to myself, okay, my mom would say, well, maybe we weren't the best parents, or maybe we didn't play with you, or blah, blah, blah. But what they did do was they taught us how to love each other the best. And I think that's the best lesson of all. So how are you teaching those in your community, those in your family, to love each other and love you? How are you giving it and how are you showing it? You need to be able to receive. So make sure that you're putting something like that in there. Make sure you're putting in your calendar a spot on Fridays in the afternoon. It says Self-Love Friday. That could mean I'm getting my hair done, or I'm getting my nails done, or I'm getting a massage, right? That could also mean I'm having coffee with a girlfriend I haven't seen in forever. Because quite frankly, we get too busy and we don't have time for it. But I also remembered at some point during the pandemic, because I had gotten out of it, that those girlfriends used to be my biggest supporters. Those girlfriends helped me build my entire business. When those girlfriends needed a contractor, I was the one they called. So how are you taking care of your community too? How are you being a friend, right? Build your calendar with those things in mind, and your hobbies, right? You need to make sure you have a hobby of some sort. If your hobby is scrolling Facebook, which is most of ours, right? It needs to be something else, you guys. Screen time is horrible for us. We all need to break this pattern, and everybody should get outside every single day, even in the bitter cold. I have it here too. So you need to get outside and be in nature every day, even if it's a 10-minute walk with your dog, right? I bet your dog would love you more for it. Make it at lunch. So you just are up from your desk if you're working at home and you are intentional about being outside for 10 minutes a day walking your dog, right? It's something. So also in there, if there's any training or anything like that, you can put it in. But in the beginning of the year, I go through and I put in all our vacations, and I put in all in tentative spots that I want to have vacations if I don't have them planned already. So
And now we can do that again, right? I think that was hard on people.
Well, the coolest part too is when you can put that vacation in and know it's paid for a year in advance, right? So when you're intentional with your calendar, guess what those vacations are? They're my dreams. When you're intentional with your calendar, you get to make your dreams come true. You should probably write that down.
I like that.
That's really like the biggest lesson you should take away. And as agents, how many of us have our phones and we're texting. Well, Irene's talking to me. I'm just going to I got to just get this back to this real quick, right? Like, no, you're with that person, be with that person, right? And if somebody can't wait, well, then maybe they're not meant to work with you. I've had people that said, hey, Jess, you were unresponsive. I didn't get to talk to you. And I said, well, today, Kim, you've talked to me 20 times and 20 times in various forms of media, from text, phone call, Facebook, Instagram, and email. So what we're going to do when you have a crazy client like that, because all of us have those crazy clients, that can't just be the only one. When you have that crazy client that even though you have talked to them and done the work, says that you haven't, so, it's hurting a little, you need to take control of the ship. So the conversation then goes like this. Kim, I can appreciate how you feel. And what I'm sensing is a little bit of anxiety behind it, not knowing when. Does that sound right? Yes? Great. So here's the promise I'm going to make to you. Every day, Monday through Friday, be crystal clear on what you say. Every day, Monday through Friday, you can expect a call from me at 12 p.m. sharp. If you miss that call, that's our only call for the day. But if you need to talk to me every single day, I will call you every day at noon until we close. Right? Then I'm not talking to her 20 times a day. So that's at least a major bonus. I'm not getting blown up on text. And I just say, hey, save all your questions for that time. We'll talk. And if not, we'll talk the next day. It's fine. But that's the commitment I'm going to make to you, because I want you to feel comfortable and know that I'm here for you. Right? So some people just need to know the specific so that they can get rid of that crazy. And then you put it in your calendar, by the way, call Kim. Here's my reminder.
So that you don't miss it.
Because guess what? The one day you miss it, you didn't call me. I can't believe that. Oh my God, this is awful. Like, seriously, like, you need to know where your garden hose went. I think we're good. So anyways, I hope any of this is helpful for you guys. Is there any questions you have for me?
I don't know. I've learned so much, Jess. I've got a whole page full of notes. So I hope you guys did as well. We're open. We've got a couple more minutes left. Anybody have any specific questions that you'd like to ask Jess? Pick her brain. Carolyn.
I have a question. It was just a comment you made about micro events, and I was just curious, what would you consider a micro event? I'm looking to steal ideas or to borrow them.
Meg Dady has great micro events too. So I want you to think about the people you attract into your world. I'm going to use myself because I don't know you right now, Carol. So I'm going to use myself as an example. We are a single income house that invests in properties. I have 4 kids from the age of soon to be 17 down to 9, right? So of those 4 kids, what things do we like? Who do we attract into our world, right? Well, we attract the sports parents by proxy from baseball and soccer, right? Fencing and crew. Those are the sports my kids do. So maybe I can do a micro event around that. Maybe what I do is a first day back to school event for all the moms of the seniors. And I do a moms and mimosas, toasting your kids to their final year, right? Maybe I do a Mother's Day event where we bring everybody to get pedicures done. And we do, and you can also have costs offset too with other sponsors, right? That you currently work with, and they're helping you help them build their business. They can help you build yours. You could do, we really are fans of movie nights too. We love movie nights. So one of our events, it wasn't micro, it was bigger though. We had the Lion King event, and I'm always looking to surprise and delight our clients. That is a really big deal. We call ourselves the Disney of real estate for a reason. So when we were doing the movie, it happened to be the Lion King. And when I was a new baby agent, there was this guy that moved to town. He looked super familiar at my open house, figured it out after. His name is Ernie Sabella. He's the original Pumbaa from the Lion King. He was on Saved by the Bell. So I'll tell you the story. So I called him. Here's my lesson about go for no. I called him and I waited until I was like 5 days away from the event because I was terrified. So I called him through a friend that knew him. I knew who he was. I wasn't sure if he remembered me or not because he had another agent when he moved to town. And I said, hey, would you ask Ernie if he wouldn't mind just like introducing us or signing some autographs? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know if it was a big deal or what he'd charge or anything. I just figured just ask. And I remembered the bold thing, ask and it is given, seeking you shall find. So the biggest thing to me was my friend asked him, he said, oh, unfortunately he's unavailable. And I said, you know what, listen to my friend Pam. I said, Pam, thank you for asking. Why don't you go ahead and bring your grandkids and you guys come to the movie right along with us. Tell Ernie and his wife, Cheryl, because I remembered their names from 12 years ago. tell Ernie and his wife Cheryl that if they have their plans change and they are able to, we'd love to have them at the event with us, right? And thank you so much for even considering it. 15 minutes later, she delivered the message. She called back and she said, what luck, his plans changed. He will be there with you on Saturday morning. I was so excited. Like I could have, you guys, like that moment, that's like an out of body experience. That was like my most favorite movie growing up, and he was my most favorite character. So I didn't ask because I was terrified, but all they can say is no. And they did say no. And I said, I just pushed a little more and gave and was kind, right? And so when he walked in before everybody else got there, he grabs my hands. He goes, kid, I remember you. And I said, I remember you, Cheryl, and your dog Pickles too. He goes, and you were the most kind agent when we came from Vegas to your open house. I can't believe you remembered my dog's name. I said, well, obviously the dog was pretty important to you. He said, yeah. He said, you let us come into the house and you gave the dog water and you had treats in your car for dogs. That meant the world to us. And you are the Disney of real estate. We need to sell our house and we only want you to do it. How cool is that? So now I can say, Pumbaa is my friend, right? Yay. So anyways, but the micro events and the big events, they all will bring business. When you're there, have the online reviews pulled up so people can fill them out. That's a really big deal. And then also make sure you also are collecting data. You want to collect referrals. You want to make sure you have their updated information. You could provide equity analysis for them. You could do a simple Cinco de Mayo party too, right? That's an easy thing. Think about it. Like who are you attracting into your world that you can do stuff for? That's what I do. And that's how I build all my events out. Could be at a brewery, could be at a winery. Just think of something fun or think of something you want to do with your family too. So what would somebody like you want to do?
And Carolyn, it's often more impactful to have the small events because you have more time with each individual attendee. We used to do cruises around Lake Ontario. We used to do like really, really big events, and you spend more time running around trying to find people and grab them than you are being in relationships. So when you have those 6, 8, 10, 15, 20 people events, that's often more impactful. A lot of times.
I think 20 people is like a really good mix of people too. So it doesn't feel like you're staring at each other. There's other people for them to talk to besides just you. Nobody monopolizes all your time, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully that's helpful. And actually, I'm going to ask you guys too. I don't get paid for doing this. So keep us in mind for any Connecticut, even Rhode Island or Mass referrals, and I will give you to whoever does it if it's not us, just so you know. But I would ask if you could be so kind, we would be so grateful for you to give us a Google review. That's one thing I ask anybody that attends anything I teach because it's huge. So if you just type in
do you have the link for the review that you can just put into our chat, Jess?
So it helps, this is a lesson for you too. It helps you rank better if the person Googles your name.
Ooh, okay.
So Star Team at KW Legacy Partners, it should come up. Let me know if it doesn't, but so you should have that too. But okay, perfect. That would be huge. We're super grateful for it. And also, you guys, here's my last tip. They left so they don't get to hear it. Beat the system with your reviews. Every time we get a Google review, every time we get a Zillow review, we get a buyer that calls us literally same day. And the buyers are great. Google, oh my gosh, are the buyers great. Google, I think we've had 400, 500, $800,000, like pretty decent price points. So make sure you're doing it. Add one picture a day to Google too, and respond to all of your reviews. I can't give you any more information. You have it all.
Awesome. Thank you, Jess. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time and your energy and your contribution. Guys, make sure you do that Google review for Jessica Starr and KW Legacy Partners. And Jess, I'll see you at 8 a.m., right?
Sounds good. I will see you then. And thank you for doing the reviews.
Okay.
All right,
bye, everybody.